Today we are going to discuss about linear programming. Linear programming is one very popular method for finding optimal solution. It may not be the most popular, but it is one of the most useful methods for finding the optimal solutions to the given problems which have constraints in the form of limited resources to solve the problem. Consider that how many times you have target based situations. For example, having to complete a project within 15 days, having to achieve a sales target within a month, and moreover, for example, if you want to produce 5 or 6 items but you have limited number of resources or raw input, then which product or how much quantity of each product you should produce so that you can get the maximum profit out of it. So these are some of the day-to-day basis target based situations that you get both in business and in real life, and you are restricted by the availability of the resources. So what you do is you try to find a solution that can give you the maximum profit or the minimum cost, because it is related to finding the optimal solution, and the optimal solution can be both maximization or minimization of something. And linear programming is one of the very important and powerful tools which are used to find the solutions to these optimal problems when you have the limited resources available with you. So, what actually is linear programming? In simple terms, it is the method to find out how to do something in the best possible way. In given limited resources, you need to do the optimal utilization of resources to achieve the best possible result in a particular objective, such as least cost, highest margin, or least time on those resources. Have alternate uses the situation which requires a search for the best values of the variable subject to certain constraints. Obviously, the term in itself becomes very confusing, but I will still try and explain it to you with the help of an example. Just consider this. For example, if you have three products, that is product 1, product 2, and product 3. The product 1 is gives you a profit of, let's say, 10. Product 2 gives you the profit of 8, and product 3 gives you a profit of 7. Obviously, the profit is maximum in selling the product 1. So your objective should be to sell the product 1 as much as possible. But all these three products can be manufactured with the help of these three raw materials or raw items. And we have a limited quantity of these three available with us. And obviously, all the three products, they use certain quantity of these raw materials to be produced. For example, product 1 uses 2 units of X, 4 units of Y, and 3 units of Z. Similarly, P2 uses let's say 3, 2, and 3, and P3 uses 4, 2, and 2 units of Z. So because I have limited quantity of X, Y, and Z, and these are the quantities used by each product to be manufactured, then how many units of P1, P2, and P3 should I manufacture so that I get the maximum profit. And finding solution to such problems is the objective of linear programming. I hope that this example is absolutely clear. So why we are using linear programming? Because we have a situation of optimization in hand, but the constraint is the limited availability of the resources. And which method should I use for such a situation? I should use the linear programming. So let's go back to our previous notes. So let us discuss some of the different terms that we use with the linear programming. The first is the linear programming has two basic parts. The first part, it is the objective function. Objective function means what we want to achieve. For example, profit. So the objective function will be to maximize the profit. If it is about the cost, then the objective function will be to minimize the cost. So there can be two types of objective functions, maximization or minimization. And then obviously how to maximize and how to minimize, that is represented by an objective function that we will see in the coming lecture. Second part, it is a constant set. It is the system of equalities or inequalities which describe the conditions or constraints. Like I said, that our job is to maximize something, but we are having the limited resources available with us, which are known as the constraints. So those are represented by the constant sets. So we have two things. One is the objective function that we have to maximize or minimize, and then we have certain constant set that represents the limitation or the limited resources that are available with us. Types of linear programming problems. These are only the sum of the linear programming problems that we have. Manufacturing problems. Like I said already, that we want to produce some items so that our max profit is maximum, but we do not have unlimited resources. We have limited resources. So what to produce is a manufacturing problem. Diet problems. It is used to calculate the amount of different kinds of constituents to be included in the diet in order to get the minimization of cost and subject to the availability of food and prices. So this is related to minimizing. The first one was related to maximization. Next is transportation problem. It is used to determine the transportation schedule to find the cheapest way of transporting a product from plant to factory. So when we say the cheapest way, then it is definitely related to minimization. We have seen this like shortest path, minimum cost. So these all are subject to linear programming if the constraints are there. If the constraints are not there, then you can use the other programming paradigms. The next is the terms related to the linear programming problems. So these are very important. The first one is called the decision variables. Variables that compete with each other to share limited resources such as product, services, etc. These are interrelated and have a linear relationship. So the variables that compete with each other and have the limited resources, these are called the decision variables. The next is the objective function. So decision variables basically are the ones that lead to the constraints and objective functions. The objective function, the problem must have a clear and well-defined objective, such as maximization of profit or minimization of cost, that we have already discussed. Decision variable and objective functions have been done. The third one is constraints. Like I said, that we have limited resources available with us. These are the restrictions imposed on the resources available, such as how many machines we have, how much material we have, how much labor we have. These all refer to the constraints. Redundant constraints. Some constraints are visibly present but do not hinder the process of the problem under study. So basically they are there but they do not hinder. But if we have let's say how much of sugar we have, then that is something that affects. If something that does not affect are called redundant constraints. Feasible solution. So one is the solution that is going to give us the maximum or the minimum value. But all the solutions which may not be the highest or not be the minimum, but still our solutions are called the feasible solutions. These are the set of all possible solutions in the form of variables that satisfy the constraints. There can be more than one solution to a given problem, but only one of these feasible solutions can be the optimum solutions. So what is an optimum solution? This is the best solution amongst the all solutions. Which are the all solutions? Feasible solutions. So we may have 10 solutions to a given problem, of which only one solution becomes the optimum solution, which gives us the maximum or the minimum value depending upon the problem in hand. Now we are going to start with how to formulate a problem. If we are given some statement, then how we are going to formulate a problem. This is very important because before starting with the linear programming, you must understand how to formulate the problem so that it can be solved. Basically, formulating a problem is giving a mathematical shape to the statement. So here we have an example. Consider a chocolate manufacturing company that produces only two types of chocolate. So how many products we have is two. One is A and the second one is B. Both the chocolates require milk and choco only. So we have two products and we have two resources to make those chocolates, milk and choco. To manufacture each unit of A and B, the following quantities are required. So that is also given. To make a product A, we require 1 unit of milk and 3 units of choco. And to manufacture B, we need again 1 unit of milk but 2 units of choco. So that gives us how much quantity is required to manufacture A and B. The second is how much is the quantity that we have of these 2 units. That means how much of milk we have and how much choco we have. So 5 units of milk and 12 units of choco are available. And the last thing that we require is how much profit does A and B make. A makes 6 and B makes 5. So that is the overall picture that we have in terms of how much profit we make from each product, how much raw material is used for manufacturing each product, and how much of raw material do we have. Now what we want is to maximize the profit. So here is the tabular form. There are two products A and B. A requires 1 unit of milk and 3 units of choco. Total profit is 6. B requires 1 milk and 2 choco. The profit is 5. Now let us suppose something. What should we suppose? That in order to maximize the profit, we need to make X units of A and Y units of B. So how many units of A? X units of A and Y units of B. Then how much is the profit from A? If I am producing X units, 1 unit gives me a profit of 6, then the profit from A will be 6x and the profit from B, जिसकी हम लोग Y units बना रहे हैं, the profit will be 5y. So the total maximum profit that we can earn is 6x plus 5y. So that will be represented as Z. There you see. So this is our kind of an objective function. What we want to do is we want to maximize the value of Z, and how the value of Z can be maximized is with this formula, that is 6x plus 5y. X means the units of A and Y means the units of B. 6 is the profit for producing A, 1 unit of A, and 5 for producing 1 unit of B. So this is how we get 6x plus 5y. Now, after objective function, we have to define the constraints, constants. So what are those? The company will try to produce as many units of A and B to maximize the profit, but the resources of milk and choco are available in limited amount. As per the above table, each unit of A and B requires 1 unit of milk, and the total units of milk available are 5. That means X means A, it requires only 1 unit of milk, Y also requires 1 unit of milk, and the total number of units available for the milk are 5. So that means X plus Y should be less than equal to 5. Next is the second product, that is choco. 3 units are required for producing A and 2 units are required for producing B. And how many total units we have is 12. So what will be the constant set for this? The constant set will be 3x plus 2y less than equal to 12. Let's check this out. 3x plus 2y less than equal to 12. So we have one objective function, that is z is equals to 6x plus 5y, and two constant sets, that is x plus y less than equal to 5 for milk and 3x plus 2y less than equal to 12 for choco. Now the value of x and y has to be greater than equal to 0, cannot be negative. You cannot produce negative amount. यहाँ तो आप उसको प्रोड्यूस ही नहीं करेंगे, दैट इज 0. यहाँ आप उसको प्रोड्यूस करेंगे तो दैट विल बी ग्रेटर देन 0. The value can never be negative. So this is our third constant set, that is x should be greater than equal to 0 and y should also be greater than equal to 0. So this is how we get our 4 equations. So how many methods are available? There may be a number of methods available for solving the linear problems, but we are going to discuss one graphical method and the other one is known as the simplex method. A linear program can be solved by multiple methods. In this section, we are going to look at the graphical method. So that means once we are able to draw the graph, then using that graph, we can find the solution. In this graph, we will see the optimum solution as well as the feasible solutions also. So let us understand with the help of an example. So we are given a problem. So whenever we are given a problem, our objective is to convert that problem into the mathematical notation. Like I said, problem formulation. So this is a table that is given to us, the cost of wheat, the net profit, and the man days per hectare is given. To solve the problem, we are required to find the decision variables. The total area for growing the wheat is x hectares. The total area for growing the barley is y hectares. And we need to decide कि हम कितने हेक्टेयर्स में wheat को grow करें और कितने हेक्टेयर्स में barley को grow करें. तो objective function बनाना है, तो what is the profit that we are getting? Just see. If I produce x units, if I take x hectares for producing wheat, then what profit I am going to get is 50. That means 50x. And how much of profit I will get from barley? That is 120y. So the objective function is 50x plus 120y. So we need to maximize. We need to maximize z, and z is equals to 50x plus 120y. Next is the constraints. So next is the constraints, 100x plus 200y. So from where does this come? The cost of wheat is 100x and the cost of barley is 200y. So producing each unit of wheat cost will be 100x, and for barley the total cost will be 200y. So that is it, one condition. And we need to keep in mind how much of the total budget we have. 100x plus 2y should be less than equal to. So where is the total value given? That is something that we need to find. There you see the total value given is 10,000. So it should be 100x plus 200y less than equal to 10,000. Similarly, we have the hectare or the man days, that is 10x plus 30y. And what is the total value we have? The total value we have is 1200. So 10x plus 30y less than equal to 1200. Is it given? Yes, 10x plus 30y is less than equal to 1200. Also, the value of x and y should be greater than equal to 0. Plus, there is another value that is given is x plus y is less than equal to 110, which means the total number of land available with us is 110 hectares. So if we produce x units of wheat and y units of the other you can say crop, then the total land available with us is 110 hectares. So this is how the problem formulation actually takes place. So once the problem formulation has taken place, we need to represent this with the help of the graph. So here is the graph. Here is the graph. The first constraint that we have, for example, is x plus y less than equal to 110. So 110 is the value of x plus y. That means x should also be 110 and y can also be 110. So as you can see from here, I'll show it to you with the help of an example. You can see x plus y is less than equal to 110 is one thing. So x is also 110 and y is also 110. What is the second constraint? The second constraint in this example is x plus 2y is equals to 100. So x will be 100. So x is 100. What should be the y? Y is 2y. That means 100 divided by 2 is equals to 50. So y has been shown here as 50. The third constraint in this example is x plus 3y is less than equal to 120. So what should be x? X should be 120. And what should be y? Y should be 120 divided by 3 is equals to 40. So wherever these actually collide, this is called an optimal solution. And these lines, this is the bottommost line, and this region is called the feasible solution. What is this called? This is called the feasible solution. So all the values of x and y within this range are called the feasible solution, and this is where the two lines intersect is called the optimal solution. So let's go further and see if we have another representation or not. So we will go for that as well. There it is. There it is. So all the area that comes within the bottommost lines are called the feasible solutions, and where the lines intersect, they can be optimal solutions. And obviously there can be more than one optimal solution as well. It is not that there will be only one feasible solution. There can be more than one optimal solution as well. So moving towards the last method, which is very important method, and it is most used method for solving the linear programming, is called the simplex method. So what does the simplex method represent? This is part of the subject that is called operation research. So in this we have a set of mathematical calculations that lead us to the solution. So simplex method is one of the most powerful methods for solving the linear programming. It is an iterative procedure. So first property of the simplex method is iterative procedure. That means you will continue one step, second step, third step, keep on repeating those steps until you find the optimal solutions. Okay. So in this method, we keep transforming the value of the basic variables to get the maximum value for the objective function. That is right. So first of all, we need to convert it into the standard form. We know what is the standard form. We have already done that. That is like z is equals to 50x plus 100y. So what does 50 and 100 represents are the constants, that is c1 and c2, and x and y are the units for those. So that is representing x1, x2 and xn. So the formula that is given in here is the standard form, and we have already seen how to compute the standard form. After standard form, we are going to construct the constraints, and you already know how to make the constraints. For example, if only one unit goes into producing x and one unit goes into producing y, and the total units available are 5, then we say x plus y is less than equal to 5. Similarly, this is how we are going to write those constraints that is already known to you. The only special thing that is here is the introduction of this S1, S2 and S and so on. These are called the slack variables. Now, what are these slack variables and why they are introduced? These are introduced to remove the inequalities between the left hand side and the right hand side. So as you can see here, B1 on the right hand side and the equation on the left hand side, they both are unequal, less than equal to B1. Now what I want to do is I want to convert that into equal to. That means I want to make them equal. So how I can make them equal is by introducing the slack variables. So in the constant sets of constraints equations, we are going to introduce these slack variables. We will see that with the help of an example. And the symbol that is less than equal to is then converted into equal to. So why we do introduce these slack variables? We introduce these slack variables basically to remove the inequalities between the within the equation. Okay, so without wasting any further time, we know what is the basic you can say statement looks like, the basic problem formulation looks like. Then how we are going to solve that? Now let us start with the algorithm for the simplex. For simplicity, the whole of the algorithm has not been given in one go. Few steps have been given, then their example has been given, then the next steps have been given, then their example has been given. But in examinations, I expect that you will write the whole algorithm in one go and then give an example for the same. The first step in solving the LP using the simplex method is to create the objective function, that is the maximum statement. Check the decision variables are greater than 0. Express the problem in standard form, that we already know how to make a standard form, and then ensure that all the values on the right hand side must be positive. Okay, so let us suppose that the problem that we are given, any problem is given that can be converted into the standard form, and here the standard form has been given. Okay, so this must be some problem that is given, and we have already learned how to convert that into the standard form. So that step has not been you can say explained in detail here, but our objective function or our standard problem is that we need to maximize z, and how to maximize z is 3 of x1 plus 2 of x2 plus f of x3. X1, x2 and x3 are the three, you can say, resources, and the how we can improve or maximize the z is by producing the 3 units of x1 and 2 units of x2 and 3 units of x3. Then we have 3 constraints. The first constraint value is 430, the second constraint value is 460, and the third constraint value is 420. So these are the constraints that we have, and the first resource requires only 1 unit of x1, 2 units of x2 and 1 unit of x3. The second resource requires producing the second item requires 3 units of x1 and 2 units of x3, and then the last one requires 1 unit of x1 and 2 units of x2. Now the value of x1, x2 and x3 should be greater than equal to, this is already known. Now this is something that has been explained earlier also that is formulation of standard problem. Please refer to the notes that are given in this very lecture only in the beginning. Now we need to introduce the slack variables. Why we need to introduce the slack variables? So that the symbol less than equal to can be converted into equal to. So how to introduce the slack variables? Look at the first equation here, x1 plus 2x2 plus x3 plus s1. So we have introduced a slack variable here. Now the less than equal to symbol has been converted into equal to 430. Similarly, in the second constraint, we have introduced s2 equal to 460, s3 equal to 420. Now in earlier we said x1, x2 and x3 should be greater than equal to 0. Now we are going to add s1, s2 and s3 also. So the value of s1, s2 and s3 should also be greater than equal to 0. So we are doing the first few steps of our algorithm. The first step is to formulate the standard problem and then to introduce the slack variables. Also ensure that the value on the right hand side should be greater than 0. And the value on the right hand side is 430, 460 and 420. So that is also satisfiable. That is, the values on the right hand side are positive. So once the you can say slack variables have been introduced, so now we will move to our step number 2. What does the step number 2 says? Write the values for the initial basic feasible solution. हम लोग एक initial basic feasible solution निकालेंगे. Then matrix form में लिखेंगे standard problem को. Then we will compute the initial simplex table. वो मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा. And once that is done, then we compute a special value that is called z minus cj. So let us start one by one. The second step is to find the initial basic feasible solution. So initial basic feasible solution for any equation, किसी भी equation का initial basic feasible solution क्या हो सकता है कि अगर हमने लिखा फॉर एग्जाम्पल x1 प्लस 2x2 प्लस x3 प्लस s1 इज इक्वल टू 460. अगर मैं x1, x2 और x3 तीनों की वैल्यू को 0 कर देता हूं तो दैट बिकम्स आवर इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन. दैट मींस s1 इज इक्वल टू 460. यहाँ पर 430 है क्योंकि हमारे एग्जाम्पल के हिसाब से 430 होगा. S2 is equals to 460 and S3 is equals to 420. So this is our initial basic feasible solution. So how we get the initial basic feasible solution is by making all these variables equals to 0. So the slack variables become equal to the right hand side value. The second is writing in the matrix form. What is the matrix forms? That is AX is equals to B. So how many variables we have is x1, x2, x3 and then the three slack variables that is s1, s2 and s3. Okay, what is the first equation? मैं आपको बता देता हूँ. First equation was x1 plus x1 plus 2, yes right, 2 of x2 plus x3 plus s1 is equals to 430. तो x1 की वैल्यू कितनी है 1, यहाँ पर 1 लिखा हुआ है. x2 की वैल्यू कितनी है 2, यहाँ पर 2 लिखा हुआ है. x3 की वैल्यू कितनी है 1, यहाँ पर 1 लिखा हुआ है. Then s1 is equals to 1 and there is no value of s2 and s3, so they become 0. Similarly, from the second equation, what was the second equation? That was 3x1 plus 2x3 plus s2 is equal to 460. तो x1 की वैल्यू कितनी है 3, x2 की वैल्यू है ही नहीं दैट इज 0, x3 की वैल्यू कितनी है 2 एंड s2 की वैल्यू कितनी है 0 एंड देन s1 s3 नहीं. इसी तरह से हम लोग लिखेंगे. यहाँ पर आप ध्यान से देख सकते हैं कि s1 s2 एंड s3 आर रिप्रेजेंटेड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ आइडेंटिटी मैट्रिक्स. ये एक आइडेंटिटी मैट्रिक्स की फॉर्म में है क्योंकि इसके डायगोनल एलिमेंट्स आर 1, बाकी सारे 0 हैं। ठीक है, अब इसको मल्टीप्लाई किसके साथ करना है? x के साथ। हाउ मेनी डिसीजन वेरिएबल्स वी हैव इज x1, x2, x3, s1, s2 and s3 is equal to b. What is b? B is the right hand side value. So what is the right hand side value? The right hand side value is 430, 460 and 4. So what we have done so far is we are able to find the initial basic feasible solution, and also we have been able to convert the basic problem that we standard form into the matrix form. So standard form has been converted into the matrix form. So let's move even further. Write an initial simplex table. So this is how you are supposed to write the initial simplex table. Please make sure that this is the only way you are going to write it. You are not going to change it. So what we have is we have Cj on the top. How does the value of Cj comes? वो मैं आपको बता दूंगा. Then we have let's say 6 decision variables x1, x2, x3, s1, s2 and s3. ठीक है, तो ये जो हमारा टेबल यहाँ पर ये बना हुआ है, ये जो हमारा टेबल यहाँ पर मैट्रिक्स फॉर्म में है, आप देख सकते हैं इसको एज इट इज यहाँ पर कॉपी कर दिया गया. तो ये हमारा सारा फिल हो गया. इसके अलावा हमारे पास 3 चीजें हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड CB, B एंड XB. What does XB represent? XB represents the right hand side values. ठीक है, तो हमारी राइट हैंड साइड वैल्यूज क्या थी? 430, 460 एंड 420. Then becomes B. B initially are our slack variables, that is S1, S2 and S3. S1, S2 and S3. And then becomes your CB. CB is the value of these slack variables in the objective function. Initially in the objective function, what is the value of our objective function? मैं वो यहाँ पर repeat कर देता हूँ. The objective function is 3x1 plus 2x2 plus 5x3 plus 0 s1 plus 0 s2 plus 0 s3. So this is our objective function. तो हमने जब s1, s2 and s3 लिया तो हम लोग इनकी वैल्यूज यहाँ से निकालेंगे, दैट इज 0, 0 एंड 0. तो वो मैंने नोट कर लिया. यहाँ पर ऊपर है Cj. Now how does the value of Cj comes? Cj, the value comes from the objective function. What is the value of x1 is 3. What is the value of x2 is 2. What is the value of x3 in the objective function is 5. The value of s1, s2 and s3 are 0, 0 and 0. So this is how we draw the initial simplex table. I hope this is very clear to you. Now once the initial simplex table has been constructed, our next job is to iterate and continue with the next. ठीक है, लेकिन ये जो इनिशियल सिंप्लेक्स टेबल है अभी कंप्लीट नहीं है, बिकॉज वी आर सपोज टू कंप्यूट द वैल्यू ऑफ Zj. ठीक है, उसका फॉर्मूला आपको इनिशियली बताया गया था. तो अभी हम देखते हैं कि व्हाट इज Zj या Zj and what is the formula for the same. The formula for the same is given in here, that is CB multiplied by xj minus cj. ओके, जब हम लोग zz की वैल्यू निकालते हैं, अगर सारी की सारी वैल्यूज पॉजिटिव आ जाती हैं, दैट मींस द फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन हैज बीन फाउंड. और अगर एक भी वैल्यू नेगेटिव है, दैट मींस द फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन हैज नॉट बीन फाउंड और हमें और आइटरेशंस निकालनी पड़ेंगी. तो लेट अस स्टार्ट विद दिस. तो जो हमारा इनिशियल सिंप्लेक्स टेबल था, अब हम उसके अंदर zz की वैल्यूज को निकालेंगे. ठीक है, तो zz की वैल्यू निकालते हैं. सबसे पहले हम लोग इसकी वैल्यू निकालते हैं. तो इसकी वैल्यू निकालने के लिए हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? CB इंटू एक्स जेड माइनस सी जेड. CB इंटू एक्स जेड that means 0 into 1, that is 0, plus 0 into 3 is 0, plus 0 into 1 is also 0, minus Cz is 3, that becomes minus 3. Similarly, it will 0 को हम initially all values are 0, तो आप multiply करते रहिए, वो 0 ही आएगा. Minus Cz will be the answer, that is minus 2. The next one is minus 5. तो क्या ये हमारा feasible solution है? The answer is no. ये feasible solution नहीं है, because we have negative values. And if we have negative values, then we need to select the one with the highest negative value, जिसकी नेगेटिव वैल्यू हाईएस्ट है. तो अगर मैं इस केस को नीचे जाकर देखता हूं, इफ आई लुक एट दिस इन द नेक्स्ट फिगर हियर, इफ आई लुक एट दिस, सो -5 is the highest negative value. So this -5 is the highest negative value, so I put an arrow in front of this. What does this mean? This means that this x3 becomes your incoming vector. ये incoming vector आएगा कहां पर? जहां पर आपका b given है. लेकिन s1, s2 और s3 इसमें से किसकी जगह लेगा x3? ना उसके लिए जैसे हमने इनकमिंग वेक्टर निकाला है, उसी तरह से हम लोग आउटगोइंग वेक्टर भी निकालेंगे. तो आउटगोइंग वेक्टर कैसे निकालते हैं वो देखने के लिए हमें नीचे वाला फिगर देखना पड़ेगा. लेट्स गो डाउन. सो उसके लिए हमें एक रेशो निकालनी होती है, जिसको हम लोग मिन रेशो करते हैं. और मिन रेशो कैसे निकलती है? The min ratio is computed by dividing the value of xb by the value of the incoming vector. 430 divided by 1 is equals to 430, and 460 divided by 2 becomes 230. 420 divided by 0, it is not possible, that means we are not going to compute it. अब 430 और 120 230 में से छोटा कौन है? That is 230. So this becomes your outgoing vector and this becomes your incoming vector. और ये दोनों कहां पर इंटरसेक्ट करते हैं? यहां पर 2 पे, and this becomes your key value. Key value is very important. ये हमारा स्टेप नंबर 1 कंप्लीट हो गया है. हमने पूरा का पूरा स्टेप कंप्लीट कर लिया है. इसमें इनकमिंग वेक्टर भी कंप्यूट कर लिया है, इसमें आउटगोइंग वेक्टर भी कंप्यूट कर लिया है, और इसमें की वैल्यू को भी कंप्यूट कर लिया है. अब हमारा नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या है? अब हमने सिंप्लेक्स टेबल विद द नेक्स्ट आइटरेशन दोबारा से कंप्यूट करना है. तो लेट अस स्टार्ट. सिंप्लेक्स टेबल को दोबारा बनाते हैं नेक्स्ट इन द नेक्स्ट आइटरेशन. इसको थोड़ा सा मिनिमाइज कर लेते हैं, सो दैट द थिंग्स आर clearly visible to you in one step. Let me minimize it even further. So that is it. So there we are. So this is the on the top, what you see is the simplex table in the first iteration, and now we are going to do it in the second iteration. यहाँ पर आप ध्यान से देखिए, x3 is our incoming vector, तो यहाँ पर हमने x3 लिख दिया है. ओके, ये हमारा की वैल्यू था. प्लीज याद रखिए ये हमारा की वैल्यू है. तो हम सबसे पहले इसकी रो को यहाँ पर लिखेंगे, हर वैल्यू को इस रो में डिवाइड कर देंगे 2 के साथ, की के साथ. सो देयर यू कैन सी दिस बिकम्स 3/2. 0 डिवाइडेड बाय 2 इज 0, 2 डिवाइडेड बाय 2 इज 1, 0 डिवाइडेड बाय 0 इज 0, 1 डिवाइडेड बाय 2 इज 1/2, एंड 0 डिवाइडेड बाय 2 इज 0. ये हमारा हो गया. उसके बाद हमने आइडेंटिटी मैट्रिक्स बनाना है. किसके बीच में आइडेंटिटी मैट्रिक्स बनाना है? S1, X3 एंड S0 के बीच में. आप यहां पर देख सकते हैं S1 इज 1, बाकी दोनों को 0 रखा है. ये हम लोग कंप्यूट कर ही चुके हैं. द लास्ट वन इज S3. S3 को 1 रखा है और S1 और X3 को 0 रखा है. तो ये बन गया हमारा identity matrix between S1, X3 and S3. तो अभी तक हमने सिर्फ यही कंप्यूट किया है. Now what is our next objective is, our next objective is to compute all the remaining values inside this simplex table. और उसके लिए हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए हमें क्रॉस मल्टीप्लिकेशन करनी पड़ेगी and the result has to be divided by 2. इसका मतलब क्या है, सबसे पहले मुझे यहां पर वैल्यू कंप्यूट करनी है. तो यहां पर प्रीवियस वैल्यू कितनी थी, 430. तो आप सबसे पहले क्या कीजिए, क्रॉस मल्टीप्लिकेशन कीजिए. 430 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 2, 430 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 2 प्लस, अब ये 2 यहां पर है तो 460 को यहां से उठाइए, मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 1, 460 प्लस 1 डिवाइडेड बाय. So this would become something like just let me check whether we are supposed to pick let's go just further down. यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं, हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक है. I was just confused that whether I should go for it or not. That is not plus, the symbol here should be minus. So that is where I thought the value is going wrong. It should be 430 multiplied by 2 minus 460 multiplied by 1 divided by 2. So that becomes 860 minus 460 divided by 2, which becomes 400 by 2 is equals to 200. तो क्या हम लोग चेक करें, क्या यही वैल्यू है, is 200 coming in there? That value we will see from the bottom. So that is becoming 100. So I need to just check this out. What went wrong? So it is 200. It is 200. शायद वहां पर गलती से 100 लिख दिया होगा. It is 200. As you can see that the result is 200. एक और वैल्यू कंप्यूट करके देखते हैं. तो मैं आपको एक और वैल्यू कंप्यूट करके दिखाता हूं. क्रॉस है क्या, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ क्रॉस. अब हमने बेसिकली ये समझना है कि क्रॉस क्या है. अब लेट अस सपोज कि मैं ये वाली वैल्यू को कंप्यूट करना चाहता हूं. अगर आप ये वाली वैल्यू को कंप्यूट करना चाहते हैं, ये हमारा की वैल्यू है, तो क्रॉस कीजिए ये और ये. ठीक है. सो दैट बिकम्स 420 इंटू 2 माइनस 460 इंटू 0. ठीक है. सो 420 इंटू 2 कितना बन गया हमारा, 840 डिवाइडेड बाय 2, इट विल स्टे 420. अब अगर आप मान लीजिए कि हमें एक और वैल्यू निकालना है. लेट अस सपोज ये वाला वैल्यू निकालना है, तो इसमें भी क्रॉस जाएगा, इसको इसके साथ माइनस इसको इसके साथ डिवाइडेड बाय. वन मोर एग्जांपल, लेट अस सपोज दैट वी वांट टू फाइंड दिस वैल्यू. तो ये वाली वैल्यू क्या आएगी वो हम लोग चेक भी कर लेते हैं. क्रॉस करेंगे सबसे पहले 1 इंटू 2 एंड देन 3 इंटू 0 डिवाइडेड बाय 2. ठीक है. तो जैसे ही हम लोग इस तरह से क्रॉस मल्टीप्लिकेशन करके ये वाला मेथड लगाएंगे, देन वी विल बी एबल टू कंप्यूट द होल ऑफ द सिंप्लेक्स टेबल. इस तरह से, कुछ इस तरह से आ जाए. ठीक है. सो वंस वी आर एबल टू कंप्यूट इट, what is the next step? The next step is to compute the value of z at the bottom. ठीक है. सबसे इसको कंप्यूट करना है, cz को I hope you remember the formula. The formula is that we are supposed to multiply this with this and minus this. Okay. So 2 into 1 by 4, 2 into 1 by 4 plus 5 into 3 by 2 plus 0 into 2 minus 3. What is the value? The value coming here is okay. इसी तरह से हमने 0, 0, 1, 2 and 0 का कंप्यूट कर लिया है. So now just check what is the value of zz. This is the last iteration. मैंने आपके साथ सभी iterations discuss नहीं किए हैं. This is our last iteration. You can simply see that all the values here are positive. Because all the values here are positive, this means we have reached our optimal solution. So once we know that we have reached our optimal solution, it means that we are not going to compute the simplex table any further. हम लोग और iterations नहीं करेंगे. लेकिन ultimately I want to know what is the final solution. So the final solution will come from the value of b. b के अंदर आप ध्यान से देखिए कि कौन कौन से हमारे वेरिएबल्स हैं, x2 and x3. x2 and x3. There is no x1. x1 है ही नहीं. That means we are not going to produce x1. We are not going to use or produce x1. And 1 is s3. ठीक है, s3 is just a slack variable, so that may not be required. So let's go further down कि ये compute कैसे करते हैं in the end. So in the end, the formula for maximization is CB multiplied by XB. Okay, I repeat, what is the formula is CB multiplied by XB. So let's go up. CB को XB के साथ multiply करेंगे. So here we are CB multiplied by XB. So what is the value of CB here? The value of CB here is 2 into 100 plus 5 into 230 plus 0 into 20, which is equals to 200 plus 5 into 230 is I think 1150. This becomes 1350. So this is the maximum profit that we can earn. Let's see if this is the same answer at the bottom. Yes, the answer is 1350. So this is the end of it. I request all of you to go through the steps that are given inside the algorithm. Algorithm पूरा का पूरा आपको इन नोट्स में दिया हुआ है. उसके सारे स्टेप्स को ध्यान से नोट कीजिए. इनिशियल प्रॉब्लम फॉर्मुलेशन कीजिए, फिर उसके अंदर स्लैक वेरिएबल्स डालिए, फिर इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन बना लीजिए. इनिशियल फिजिबल सॉल्यूशन बनाने के बाद उसको मैट्रिक्स फॉर्म में रिप्रेजेंट कीजिए. मैट्रिक्स फॉर्म में रिप्रेजेंट करने के बाद एक इनिशियल सिंप्लेक्स टेबल बनाइए. जब आप एक इनिशियल सिंप्लेक्स टेबल बनाएंगे तो आप चेक करेंगे कि क्या z के सभी वैल्यूज पॉजिटिव हैं या नहीं है. अगर नहीं है तो उसमें से सबसे बड़ी नेगेटिव वैल्यू को निकालिए. उसको आप आउटगोइंग वेक्टर बोलते हैं. फिर हम लोग इनकमिंग वेक्टर निकाल लेते हैं एंड देन वी गो टू स्टेप नंबर 2 एंड अगेन कंप्यूट द सिंप्लेक्स टेबल. हम लोग सिंप्लेक्स टेबल तब तक कंप्यूट करते रहते हैं जब तक zz के सारे वैल्यूज जो हैं वो पॉजिटिव नहीं हो जाती हैं. और जब पॉजिटिव हो जाती हैं then we simply apply the formula CB into XB, as you can see on the screen. CB into XB, that will give us the maximum profit or the minimum cost that we are going to achieve. So this is only for maximum, so forget about minimum. So for this will give us the maximum value. Thank you very much.